Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you're tuning in, you're probably curious about the DCDC certification. Maybe wondering if it's for you.
Yeah, it's definitely something generating buzz in certain fields.
Exactly. So today, we want to give everyone listening a really clear idea of, well, what DCDC actually is, why it could be a smart move for your career, and importantly, how you can actually prepare for the exam, even if you're starting from scratch.
Right. And we've looked at some resources aimed squarely at beginners, so this should be a good roadmap.
Okay, great. So let's start at the very beginning. For someone who's just heard the acronym, what is DCDC?
Okay, so DCDC. It stands for Distributed Control and Data Communication. Essentially, it's a certification. It validates that you've got a solid understanding of a few key areas.
Which are?
How electrical power is distributed in a system, how the control systems work the brains, you could say, and critically, how all different parts communicate. That data communication piece.
Okay, so it's not just knowing about one wire or one switch.
Yeah.
It's like seeing the whole picture, how everything connects and talks.
That's a great way to put it. It's the whole system.
Mm.
Understanding that flow, how to, design it, manage it, and importantly, what to do when things go wrong.
Yeah.
How to troubleshoot when the communication stops.
And that seems like it would be useful in, well, a lot of places these days.
Oh, absolutely. Think about modern factories. Automation, right?
Yeah.
Robots, conveyors, all needing to sync up perfectly.
Okay.
Or manufacturing plants needing super precise control. Then you've got smart buildings, HVAC, lighting, security, all interconnected.
Right. Even energy management.
Definitely energy management, monitoring and distributing power efficiently. In all these areas, understanding how the electrical side and the data side work together, it's not just a nice to have, it's often fundamental.
So for someone maybe looking to get into those fields, the DCDC sounds like it could be, I don't know, a bit of a golden ticket.
It can certainly open doors, yeah. It signals a practical understanding that employers are really looking for.
Okay, let's focus on that benefit then. For the listener thinking, why should I bother getting certified?
Yeah.
What's the direct payoff?
Well, the biggest, most immediate thing is standing out in the job market. Simple as that.
Oh, so.
When an employer sees DCDC certified on a resume, it's concrete proof. It says, this person understands these specific relevant systems. It takes away some of the guesswork for them.
So it's like showing your work, basically, not just saying you know it.
Exactly. Companies need people who get how their machines, the control panels, all those sensors, how they're all talking within the facility. The DCDC says you speak that language.
Can you give some examples, like what specific jobs might this help someone land or advance in?
Sure. You could see it being really valuable for, say, an industrial electrician working with complex automation.
Okay.
Or a control systems technician, the person who's actually maintaining and troubleshooting those automated processes day to day.
Makes sense.
And it can even be a stepping stone towards maybe systems engineering roles, designing and overseeing these larger networks. So yeah, it boosts the resume, but it also gives employers confidence you're ready for the practical side.
All right, value proposition is clear. Let's get into the exam itself then. If someone decides, okay, I'm doing this, what areas do they really need to nail down?
So the exam really circles back to those core pillars we mentioned. First, you absolutely need a good grip on basic electrical theory.
Like Ohm's law and that sort of thing.
Exactly. Voltage, current, resistance, how they relate, different types of circuits. You need that foundation. Then there's control systems, understanding the components, how they operate.
You mean like open loop versus closed loop systems?
Yeah.
Controllers, actuators.
Precisely. Knowing what those pieces are and what they do. And then, of course, the data communication part. You need to be familiar with common protocols.
Which ones specifically pop up?
Modbus is a big one in the industrial space. And Ethernet, increasingly. Understanding how data actually gets exchanged.
Okay. And anything else?
Yeah. Troubleshooting and maintenance. Because things don't always work perfectly. Being able to figure out why is key.
So it sounds pretty comprehensive, from the power basics right up to the network talk.
It is. And the format is typically multiple choice, but don't let that fool you.
How so?
It's really testing your understanding, your ability to apply concepts, not just spitting back definitions you memorized. It's more about real-world scenarios.
That's a good point, knowing why it works, not just what it's called. Okay, so if you're gearing up to study, what materials are essential? Where do you start?
Number one, absolutely, is the official study guide. Always start there.
Why that?
Because it's literally designed around the exam objectives. It tells you exactly what the test creators expect you to know. It's your most direct map.
Go straight to the source. Got it. What else? Any supplements?
Yeah, definitely. Online learning platforms can be incredibly helpful, especially if some concepts are totally new to you.
Like Udemy or LinkedIn Learning, perhaps?
Exactly, those kinds of places. They often have courses that break down, say, control systems or networking basics in a really beginner-friendly way. Different explanations can sometimes make things click.
Okay, good tip. Anything else for the study toolkit?
Practice tests. Cannot emphasize those enough. Really, why are they so critical?
Well, a few reasons.
Okay.
First, they get you used to the question style, the format, the timing. That builds confidence, reduces exam day anxiety.
Okay, familiarity helps.
But more importantly, they're like a diagnostic tool. You take a practice test, you see where you struggled. That's where you need to focus your study time. It helps you zero in on your weak spots.
Ah, I see. So you're not just studying everything equally, you're targeting effort. Smart.
Exactly.
Yes.
Study smarter, not just harder.
All right. Official guide, online courses for clarity, practice tests for diagnosis. Makes sense. Now, you mentioned a possible 4-week study plan for beginners. Could you walk us through what that might look like?
Sure. And this is just a suggestion. Obviously, people learn at different paces.
Yeah.
But a structure helps. So week 1, focus squarely on the fundamentals, basic electrical principles.
So back to Ohm's law. Circuits?
Yep. Nail down Ohm's law voltage, current, resistance, understand series versus parallel circuits, and crucially, basic electrical safety. You need that solid ground first.
Okay, week 1, foundation, then week 2. Week 2, move into control systems.
Yeah.
Build on that electrical knowledge. This is where you dive into open loop and closed loop systems, understanding that feedback concept.
Right.
Learn about controllers, the brains, actuators, the muscles, and sensors, the eyes and ears. Know what they are and what they do in a system.
Got it. Week 3.
Week 3, shift focus to data communication. How do these systems talk? Pay special attention here to Modbus, it's very common, and Ethernet for industrial networks.
Yeah, Modbus and Ethernet.
Yeah, and understand a bit about TCP/IP, the rules behind Ethernet, and just the general process how devices actually exchange that data.
Makes sense. So electrical, then control, then communication. What's left for week 4?
Week 4 is about integration and practice. Focus on troubleshooting. Look at common problems. What happens if a sensor fails? What if communication drops? Think through those real-world scenarios.
Applying the knowledge.
Exactly. And this is the week to really ramp up the mock tests. Take several, get used to the time pressure, simulate the exam conditions as best you can. It helps cement everything.
That sounds like a really balanced approach. Prevents that last-minute panic cramming.
Hopefully, consistency is key.
Okay, so you've done the 4 weeks. You've studied hard. Now it's exam day. Yeah. Any key strategies for when you're actually sitting there?
Absolutely. And honestly, prep starts the night before. Get a good night's sleep, seriously. Being tired is your enemy.
Good advice for any test, really.
Definitely. Then, in the exam, read every single question carefully. Really carefully. Sometimes the way it's worded, there can be little tricks or nuances. Make sure you understand exactly what's being asked.
Don't rush and misinterpret. Got it.
Right. And a good strategy is often to go through and answer all the ones you know first. Build some momentum.
Bag the easy points.
Exactly. Mark the ones you're unsure about. Just put a flag on them and come back later. Don't get stuck and waste time on one hard question early on.
And then when you come back to those tougher ones.
If you're still unsure, try process of elimination. Can you definitively rule out 1 or 2 of the options? Even narrowing it down improves your odds if you have to guess.
Logical deduction.
Yeah. And finally, try to trust your preparation. You've put in the work over the weeks. Have some confidence in what you've learned. Don't second guess yourself too much.
That's great practical advice. So as we start to wrap this up, what's the big takeaway? Especially for someone feeling like a total newbie thinking about DCDC.
I think the main thing is you don't need to already be an expert to pass this. You really don't.
That's encouraging.
What you do need is a plan, consistency in studying, using those practice tests effectively, and just showing up on exam day with some belief in the effort you've put in.
So it's achievable with the right approach.
Absolutely. And whether you're aiming for a career change, maybe your very first tech job, or just want to add a valuable skill, this DCDC knowledge, this foundation, it can be a really strong asset for growth.
So the message is, follow the plan, use the resources, practice, and you can get there.
That's the gist of it. Prepare to earn that certification.
Fantastic. So a clear path exists, even for beginners. That's great to hear.
Definitely. And, stepping back for a second, just thinking about how fundamental this stuff is becoming, understanding control, understanding data flow. It really makes you wonder what doors it could open down the line, maybe in ways we don't even expect yet.
That's an interesting thought.
It kind of leads to a final question for our listeners, perhaps.
Yeah.
As you've heard us talk about these different areas, the electrical side, the
Mhm.
control systems, the data communication protocols, which one initially sparks your curiosity the most? Is there one piece that makes you think, huh, I'd like to know more about that, and just maybe? Where could digging into that lead you? Something to ponder.